kind of animals they are? How do you identify them?
Sure, these are our western lowland gorillas. And right here we have 3 of our females. There's one more female missing around here somewhere. This is Kamani. She's our youngest one. She's almost 5. She'll be 5 on the 24th of November, so coming right up.
What is she eating?
She is re-eating some of her lettuce that she found over in the exhibit. Oh,
in other words, they eat lettuce.
Yep, they eat lettuce.
Okay.
So gorillas will regurgitate and re-ingest their food throughout the day. And
does that help them as far as if there's not much vegetation, they can still be able to survive?
Sure, that? No, it tastes good the first time. It tastes even better the second time, apparently, for these guys. So if something's really tasty, they will re-ingest it.
Okay, so we're talking about enrichment here. I see a whole bunch of different toys.
Yep, you see down here some cloth. So the gorillas are very fond of having some blankets and cloth. And over here is it's a human child's toy that the gorillas are playing with, and anything that they get has to be really hard and indestructible or soft and not dangerous to them.
Where would you find these gorillas in the wild?
These guys you would find in the wild along the equator in Africa.
Okay.
You would find them in countries like Cameroon and the Congo, places like that. And,
so
they are highly endangered in the wild.
Okay, they are.
These guys aren't mountain gorillas. They're a different species of gorilla. A little bit bigger, much hairier. And those guys you'd find in Uganda, Rwanda, that area.
All right, so how would you identify this gorilla?
These guys, as being western lowland gorillas, they tend to be a little bit smaller and they don't have as much hair as the mountain gorillas. Other than that, they look pretty much the same.
So how would you tell a gorilla from an ape?
Gorillas are apes. How you can tell they're an ape is they don't have tails, they're large. You can find a monkey this big. The largest monkey is the mandrill, who we do have here in this building, in this exhibit. These guys are apes, and gorillas are the largest of the apes. They don't have tails.
So a gorilla is the type of ape. Is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay.
Those are apes. Other apes are orangutans, chimpanzees, bonobos, and gibbons are considered apes also, smaller apes, but they're considered apes.
But you're saying that they don't have the tail?
They don't have tails.
And what about their feet and their hands?
Sure.
Are they any different?
Their feet, they have their feet very much like our hands. They have almost an opposable thumb, not quite on their feet, but they can use those feet for grasping. And when these guys walk around, they'll carry food with their feet and with their hands. But they have hands very much like ours.
But do the monkeys have that?
Most of the monkeys do. Some of the monkeys have a little bit different thumb. Some species of monkeys might have a shorter thumb, but they all have that opposable thumb. They have binocular vision, which means their eyes are in the front of their head. They do see in color.
They're usually in the wild in a group?
Yeah, we usually find gorillas in pretty large groups. They can be
large groups
from 5 all the way up to 20 individuals, and they might come together in larger groups to feed. So you might find 3 or 4 different groups coming together in one space. So it looks like a really big group, and actually they'll split up and go back off by themselves. They might nest someplace else. You might find males that are by themselves in the wild, or males that are in an all-male group. Not all males have the luxury of having a family yet. As they mature, then as they become silverbacks, they may be able to convince females to join them and have their own group.
Hi, I'm here at the Franklin Park Zoo with Gabriel. Hi, Gabriel, and you're the senior keeper here at the zoo, and exactly what do you do here?
On a daily basis, I take care of the normal care and maintenance of our collection. Here in Children's Zoo, currently I'm working mainly with the reptiles and the amphibians, which is where I have a lot of experience in the animals I love, but I've also spent a lot of time around big cats. I used to work at a big cat sanctuary in Texas with over 75 cats, and some of them were Amur leopards, which is the cats we have behind us.
How do you take care of the leopards here? And what's the importance of having the leopards here? to be able to teach the public?
Well, the leopards are an ambassador to their species in general. These guys are critically endangered. There's only 30 to 35 of these at absolute most.
That's it?
That's it. 35 is the maximum number in the wild. There's about 300 in zoos across the entire world, so it's still a very small population, and they've pretty much reached the maximum point of where they're going to start losing genetic diversity, and they're going to pretty much become extinct if we don't do something fast. So we have a pair here, and they're very, very, very important, and only a handful of zoos in this country actually have them. And the way we take care of them is, excuse me, it's called protected contact. We never actually go in with these cats. Leopards have a very bad tendency. They're very aggressive. You don't ever want to be alone with them without the cage in between you. So that's why you can actually see their slide doors in the back of the cage, or the back of the exhibit. And that's in the mornings. We'll go in, check on the cats, and then we'll pull on a cord. We'll put the cats out onto exhibit after we've checked the exhibit to make sure there's nothing out here that can partially harm the animals, or if a tree branch has fallen on the exhibit, we want to make sure it's structurally sound. We'll put the cats out, and then we will clean their holdings inside, and we currently have a male and a female, and we have to keep them separated right now because we don't want them to breed. So we make sure that the female has access to the back if the male's in front, or the male has access to the back if the female's in front.
Okay, and so what do you feed them? How do you
They actually get fed a daily diet. It's called feline diet. It's made by Nebraska, and it's basically, it's ground horse, what it is.
Oh.
And a lot of people don't like that because we think of horses as pets here in this country, but horse is actually a very nutritious meat. It's it's much higher in quality than beef. Beef diets tend to cause these cats to get obese and have other problems. So because they're not as active as they would be in the wild, you need to feed them a much higher quality meat so that they have less problems.
We're talking about in the wild. So where would you find these leopards?
In the wild, these guys come from a very, very, very small region in between Russia, China, and North Korea. It's called the Amur River region. You've heard of a Siberian tiger?
Yeah.
Well, they've actually changed the common name of that to the Amur tiger. So it's from the same, it basically lives in the same habitat. It's a very, it used to be a much larger habitat, but as with all animals these days, with growing human populations, natural habitats are shrinking, which is a huge problem with these guys.
So, and basically that's one of the reasons why they could be totally extinct.
Yes, their main issues that they're having right now in the wild are habitat loss, which is basically illegal logging of forests, and also poaching is a very large problem, as with all pretty much big cats across the world. One of the other problems, people also are poaching their prey, so these guys don't have as much deer to eat as they should because people are hunting their prey.
How do you identify this leopard? And I mean, how big does it get? How long does it live for in the wild?
In the
Give me
wild,
some facts about the leopard.
Excellent. In the wild, most leopards are going to live between 10 and 15 years. In captivity, they can live over 20, which is mainly they don't have to fight for their food, they don't have to fight for their territory. Life is much more cushy, and they have a vet on staff 24/7 in case anything happens. And they, in the wild, life is very hard. And you can distinguish them from there's 8 recognized subspecies of leopard that range all the way from the southern tip of Africa all the way to the far east corners of Asia. So these guys are pretty much the farthest east species you can get. And most leopards look pretty much the same. Their spots are pretty similar. These guys are actually one of the few subspecies that you really can distinguish just by looking at them.
Okay.
They have a fatter face, especially in the winter. They get a very heavy, fluffy coat because it's very cold where these guys are from. And these guys aren't super fond of the summer here in Massachusetts. When it's hot and humid, nobody really likes. Nobody really likes that. We'll set up a mister system so it'll be nice and cool under it for them. But in the winter, these guys love the snow. They'll lay in the snow. They'll get up and walk around, and they'll make a little bed in the snow. And they really get a big, thick, heavy coat on them.
Right.